So hello everyone, welcome to Ben Covenverse, let's say. Today I have very valuable guest, Benjamin Coven from Into the Cryptoverse. I've been his loyal follower for several years, and today it's very great honor to have him here. Welcome, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for following me the last few years. Hopefully, it was somewhat helpful.
Yeah. I mean, it was I got most useful information from Twitter from your page, I believe. Let's say.
Yeah, I
Uh,
I think YouTube Ben and Twitter Ben are very different people, but yes.
how has been 2026 for you so far? At least to January.
Yeah, good so far. I mean, I think um my portfolio is doing relatively okay right now because the metals are absolutely exploding. I'm still in the camp that crypto is in a bear market, so it's just kind of like figuring out where do you put your money right now, and trying to plan out the rest of the year.
Yeah, yeah. We're actually, as you indicate, we're in the metal mania period right now. Uh, but let's start with crypto. I want to ask my first question about a cycle top. Do you think that cycle top is in? What would you give the probability to it? Because I remember you were indicating it as 40, 20, 40 for October, November, and December. And
Right.
technically, actually, we topped in October, but we have some super cycle theories. And also, probably, as you also indicate, we will visit that 50 weekly moving average or the 200 daily. I would like to hear about the current probabilities, let's say.
Right. Can you see my screen at all?
Yep.
Yeah, so I do think the top is in, right? And the reason for October having been potentially the top was just looking at this chart and seeing that if it lasts around the same as the other cycles, you would expect an October top. So that's why I thought it could come as early as October. I think the cycle's over, right? Like I don't think Bitcoin is going up to a new all-time high in 2026. I could absolutely be wrong about that, but I would say there's maybe like a 20% chance that Bitcoin puts in a new all-time high in 2026. So because of that, I still have about 20% of my Bitcoin. But to me, like it just looks like a bear market. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think that it is. Like I think that, Bitcoin will have these counter trend rallies like it's had. But generally speaking, I do believe that the Bitcoin is trending down. And, I'm not really looking to touch Bitcoin until maybe the summer at the earliest, probably not until October, but I would start becoming interested maybe by the summer. Um, so that's those are my thoughts right now on Bitcoin. I know they're not popular, but you can see too that like Bitcoin is being rejected by the sort of the bull market support band, right? Like it's unable to get above it. And I just think that what's the most likely outcome is for it to, just kind of go down, right? Like I think that's the most likely outcome here. And perhaps by the summer we can start looking at more bullish cases, but I don't think we're there right now.
Do you believe we will revisit, let's say, that 200 moving average on a daily manner or like 50 week? Because as I
Yeah, like
believe
it's
it.
always possible because like if you look at the 200 day, but you have to remember something like they're moving targets. So like we could revisit the 200 day, but when we hit it, I mean, it would probably be a much lower valuation than it is now. Like like there could exist a scenario, where like Bitcoin comes down here to like 74K or something, sweeps the low, then rallies back up, tags the 200 day, and then drops. But maybe it tags it at a lower price than it already went to. Like yes, it could certainly do that. But I mean, I'm not trading those short term moves. I'm more like in the camp of, Bitcoin's in a bear market. Um, use the rallies to take profits if you can. And I wouldn't look to buy for any durable rally for a durable bull market for at least another few months. Probably not until Q4.
Got it. Also, when I checked the last cycle, I also saw that the 50 weekly moving average and 200 daily moving average crossed each other during March. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
and Bitcoin tested
Yeah,
that period when they cross each other.
right, exactly. So like, but there are times before, like in 2014, where Bitcoin did not make it to the 50-week moving average, right? Like, so um there's not a guarantee is what I'm saying. Like in 2014, it didn't make it there. There's no guarantee that it does, but yeah, like just remember that if and when it does, it's usually a bearish retest. Like it's not a bullish thing. And that's the hardest thing is like I said that a few weeks ago and then Bitcoin went up to 98K almost, which was almost where the 50-week was. And it was only like $2,000 away from it. Um, but the problem is that like when we get those moves, then a lot of people don't really want to sell into it, right? They just want to believe in the super cycle again. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm in the bear camp for now, and I'll probably stay that way for at least a little bit longer.
Yeah, we're at the same page. I also believe that at least for 6 months, it's good to not deal with market, at least on the crypto side. So
Right.
we're heading to end of decade. Actually, we have 4 years now. And which asset classes, in your mind, should be included in portfolio? I mean, we're always talking about the crypto, metals, the energy, many other things, but that some periods, some asset classes, you know, just booms. What do you think for upcoming 4 years?
I mean, I have exposure to metals. I have gold, silver, palladium, uranium, lithium, nickel, maybe some platinum. I can't remember if I have platinum. Probably maybe not right now. Um, I have exposure to index funds, domestic for the United States, but I'm actually leaning more towards international funds right now because I think there's a lot more uncertainty going on in the United States, and there's already started to be some outperformance by international funds over domestic for here in the States, and so I have more international funds now than domestic. Um, I mean, I think Bitcoin is probably going to do well again, but not right now, right? So like, I'll probably be buying Bitcoin later this year. And I think I think having a little bit of cash can make sense because when you have these mania phases in metals, like there are going to be sharp pullbacks at some point, and um, having some cash is a good way to take advantage of those pullbacks. But you don't. I mean, the thing is like you don't want to be too overweight cash because we know that fiat just keeps being devalued over a long enough period of time. But it can help you have something to buy the dip when things start going down, right? Like if Bitcoin were to drop and then I have nothing to buy it with, then it kind of sucks. Like it doesn't do me any good. So that's probably mostly what I'm in. I mean, I also own a few individual stocks as well. Like I have exposure to like Tesla and Google and all these other things, but for the most part, I'm in index funds, metals, a tiny bit of crypto, not a lot right this second, not much bonds. I only have a really small percentage in bonds because I've actually not really been that like I think long end rates could go higher from here. So buying things like TLT, I don't really even think make most amount of sense at the current time. They might make sense in a few months or something, but I don't know if it does right now. So that's basically where I am, but not really any exposure to altcoins. I mostly away from that right now. Would maybe look to get back into the more frothy stuff later on.
So yeah, again, the differentiating is the key way to success, actually. So in Turkey, actually, unfortunately, I can say many people have exposure into crypto, but they don't have exposure to Bitcoin. They have exposure to altcoins, and I mean, even when I talk about the differentiating, they think that we should differentiate the altcoins. No, they're not thinking about the metals. They're not thinking about the stock market. I believe, and I hope that at least this rally of metals will open a different window for investors in Turkey, so they can see that they have to differentiate. They have to differentiate, and as you said, not only metals, the energy, the individual stocks would also be a good part of it. So you made an introduction actually to metals. We have metal mania, as you said. When do you think we'll see the blow of top for metals, at least for short term?
Yeah, what I've basically said sometime before the end of May is what I think. Um, there is a chance that gold could rally longer, like maybe even into the end of the year, but there will be a pullback relatively soon. If you look at all of silver's prior tops after parabolic rallies, they tend to occur between January and May. Um, Gold, if silver has a big pullback, good chance gold would as well. But a lot of times, gold can put in all-time highs, even on a future lower high by silver. So, yeah, I think for me, I am I'm sort of thinking that the blow off top is going to come up relatively soon, and then we'll sort of see a big pullback that'll potentially find a low sometime like late Q3, early Q4. That's my base case for metals right now. So look for a blow off top before the end of May, um, and then a pullback into late Q3, early Q4.
But in the parabolic phases, actually, we're having very harsh moves at the last period. So here, it's really hard to understand where will that silver top or where that gold will top. But you say that at least in the first half of year, we will see probably the local top for metals. So you say local top, so you think that it will continue after that retracement?
I think gold will. I'm not sure about silver at this point. Maybe. I mean, but silver has just gone up so much, you know. Um, I'm not sure about silver. I think gold can continue to rally. Um, Maybe like later on this year, but silver might need to have a bigger pullback whenever it does start dropping. But I mean, every day I check it, I mean, it just put in a new all-time high just a few minutes ago. Like, I mean, it's pulled back a little bit off the highs, but I think it hit like 121. Now it's back down to like 115, 116. Um, but I feel like this is one of those cases where like the last few months, any person like kind of like looking at metals from a window, maybe they don't have exposure, they've just been calling the top all the way up, and they just keep going higher, right? It doesn't have to make sense sometimes. Like sometimes the markets just like, go up aggressively. I like my base case is that we get a big pullback. Um, Silver will likely drop like 30 to 50% whenever the drop starts. And I think it'll start, within the next few months. But the hard part is like knowing when it starts, because like, a 30% drawdown from here is very different than if it rallies another 50% and then it's a 30% drawdown from there. So I think the way to do it is to just kind of lock in some profits as you go, and make sure you have something. The hard thing is like if you sell, like what do you sell it to? Because metals recently have been the only things that have been winning. Like stocks haven't really been doing that great. Crypto is obviously not great. So, yeah.
Well, but what about platinum and palladium? Do you think they behave like altcoins of gold and silver?
Maybe somewhat, but I mean they are different. Like they don't like there's more value in palladium than there is in like an altcoin, you know. At least most altcoins. I'm not saying that there's none that have value, but I think most altcoins have no value. Um, Palladium is used in like catalytic converters and stuff like that. Like there is some inherent underlying value there that's not necessarily true in a lot of other places. So yeah, I think that they do behave a lot more uh they're a lot more volatile, I guess, than what you'll see with other metals, but they're not necessarily like the same type of I think they're safer investments than like altcoins in my opinion.
Yeah. So you also mentioned the international markets that I mean, at least that they're acting well when you compare to the U.S. markets. They had better year in 2025, and I believe you think that it will continue for some period of time because of uncertainty in the U.S. Let's say. Uh,
Right.
let's say which countries or which segment would you prefer here, like emerging countries or the other places to have exposure?
I mean, I think Latin America, China, um, even places in Europe. Like it's just that there's a lot more. I mean, I have some international exposure, and it's just like a broad international exposure across many different countries. So I think that I mean, I want to bet on something, right? And I think that international has been a little bit safer than domestic.
Got it. So we'll have a new Fed chair actually after some months. What do you think about its impact on markets? Do you think it will trigger maybe next bull market on the crypto side or the stock market? Will it have some other effects, let's say?
Yeah, maybe. I don't really think the next bull market for crypto is going to begin until, much later this year. Um, So I do while I do think the Fed chair can come in and try to be a little bit more aggressive in lowering rates, he still has to deal with all the other members on the board, and just because Powell's leaving doesn't mean they're all going to then magically agree with the new Fed chair. So if you look at expectations for rate cuts, the markets only think that there's going to be one or two more rate cuts this year, despite a new Fed chair coming in. So it might have some effect, but I don't know that it's going to necessarily have the desired effect immediately because I think they're not going to be able to cut rates as much as they want to, just because there's other people on the board, and the new Fed chair isn't going to be able to make the decision by himself.
Got it. So let's talk about uranium because I know that you have expertise there. You say that you're biased on it. I'm pretty bullish on uranium as well. But I would like to get some, technical details from you as well because you have exposure there. You have more and more information because of your expertise. What do you think? What will trigger that uranium bull market? Let's say.
Yeah, so there's different ones. Here's one of the funds is URA. I'm generally looking at it to, looking for it to potentially run back up to these highs. Would be sort of a starting point, and that would be another 130% rally or so from the current levels. Not going to happen immediately, right? Like these things take a while, right? Like it can take years, but I'm generally bullish on uranium. One of the reasons is because I don't really see. I think our energy demands will continue to grow, and I think nuclear is one of the ways in which we can solve that. And uranium is one of the main things that's used in a lot of the light water reactors around the world, right? You have uranium, UO2, and zircaloy cladding. And so I'm just generally bullish on uranium. Also, I think that because prices were sort of suppressed for so many years, it led to a lot of like underdevelopment in the space. And now that energy demands are growing, I think that it's sort of causing, and there hasn't been as much development. I think prices have to go up to sort of accommodate that, like sort of to accommodate that growing energy need. So that's the reason why I'm fundamentally bullish on it. And I just think it also technically to me it looks good, right? Like you can see it's putting in. You have a massive capitulation in 2020, and then you have a high in 2021, and then you have a higher low in right there, and then you're putting potentially putting in higher highs. So I just think that it'll do something like this, right, and just continue to grow through the years. And so technically it looks bullish to me. Fundamentally, it looks bullish to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some European countries closed their nuclear places last years.
Yeah.
Probably they will start to they will plan to establish it again, and it can trigger the demand on uranium side, I believe.
Right.
Also, it's
Yeah.
really hard to follow the uranium spot price actually because it's updating just once in a week. It's like UX on the trading view, if I'm not wrong, and they're not updating it frequently. So I believe, yeah, the ETFs is better place to check the prices for uranium, as you indicated.
Right. And there's a lot of different ones, right? But URA is the one that tracks it. There's also I think like URNM and UUUU, but those are a lot more volatile and not as much liquidity in them, I think.
Got it. Okay, so let's come back to crypto before we end our podcast. Let's say, what do you
Sure.
think about next 2 years? Because I know you have a Twitter post on Like several years ago, you were indicating that uptrend, accumulation, bull trend, and if I'm not wrong, the next accumulation is 2027 and 28 in your roadmap, and the uptrend will continue until 30, end of the decade. Do you think it's still the case, or would you like to change something on it?
Yeah, I think this year's a bear market. Probably start buying later this year might make sense. Yeah, I mean, I would be bullish on it next year probably, but I like there could be a big drop this year before that happens. I mean, I don't know where the price is going to be when I turn bullish on it. I mean, maybe I turn bullish on it at 60K, or maybe I turn bullish on it at 30K. Like, I don't know. It depends on where the price is by Q4 of this year. So I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but I would flip bullish on it later this year and just sort of assume the cycles remain intact. With metals kind of exploding, um, I think there's going to be a point where Bitcoin's market cap valuation against metals is going to look really, really low again. Like, it's going to look attractive, kind of like how it looked back in like 2015 or something. And then that'll be like a nice bull case for Bitcoin, and potentially more upside than what it could have experienced had maybe metals not had that big run. Um, so yeah, like I think we'll see bullishness in the space again, but I think we have to go through this painful process right now because we lost our way. The asset class spent too much time focusing on stuff that didn't matter, and now we have to find what matters again. And a lot of that, what it means is it means a lot of altcoins going to zero, and it means people finding what they have in common, and that was what brought us here in the first place, and that's Bitcoin. And so that's the way for us to get back on track, and to just, I think the way as an investor, what you do is you just kind of forget about Bitcoin for the next, I don't know, like 6 months, 9 months, and whatever price it is later this year, you take on the risk then. That's what I'm going to do.
Got it. So we had the Bitcoin rally recently on the tightening conditions in terms of monetary policy. So most probably, I believe, we will have next cycle during easing conditions. So do you
Right.
think, I mean, during the last cycle, obviously Ethereum did not outperform Bitcoin. Bitcoin outperformed Ethereum actually. Do you think Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin for the next period of time?
It's possible. We'll have to see what monetary policy is doing by then, because like if rates are going up by then maybe not. But if rates are going down, then it's certainly possible. So I'm more open-minded to it happening next cycle. But this cycle, it just always felt more like a Bitcoin maxi cycle. Like just stick with Bitcoin, and you're probably going to outperform most everything else. Next cycle, that might not be true. So we'll have to see what monetary policy is doing at the time.
Okay, got it. So the one last question regarding the tendency and dynamics of crypto market. Usually, actually, that alt market and Ethereum goes to parabolic phase under easing conditions after Bitcoin sets new all-time high. Do you think it will be the case during next cycle? Because if it is, it means that there's nothing to do with altcoins at least for maybe 1.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Bitcoin is a better play right now. Like, if I had to go buy a crypto, I'd buy Bitcoin. I think it makes more sense to buy that than altcoins. And I think what you said is right, right? You typically just stick with Bitcoin, and then you pivot to altcoins after Bitcoin puts in new all-time highs. I could see a scenario where altcoins could outperform from a low, but I think you'd have to have a pretty big capitulation for me to be in that camp.
Like COVID.
Yeah, like something like that, like a massive drop where everything just gets annihilated. It's possible then that altcoins could outperform, but until that happens, I'll just stick with the status quo.
What do you think about 10 October?
I mean, look, it was a pretty big wipeout in the market, but I don't think it's anything unexpected. I mean, altcoins occasionally crash like that. I mean, I do think a lot of them are going to zero, frankly. So I mean, it just is what it is. I don't control it.
So it's the brief story of longer story, let's say.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's just like it kind of shows you where altcoins are going, gives you a glimpse, and now we're slowly going there.
Got it. Got it. I'm really thankful to you, Ben. I hope you will continue to do what you do because crypto society, especially in Turkey, gets very much benefit from you, and I hope it will continue for upcoming years as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for following me. I maybe in the future when I come on, it'll look a little bit more cheery for crypto, and I don't have to be such a big bear about it. But
I hope
yeah,
so.
I mean we just we have to respect the cycle of the markets that we have, not what we want.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you very much. So, thank you for being here, people. See you next time.
Thanks for having me.